Tell One, bringing you together.
Viewers of Entrepreneurship TV, welcome to today's show. In today's show, we have invited an entrepreneur, a business person, Gerard Chimbganda. He's based in the island. He's here to talk to us in terms of his own business background and what is it that his companies are involved in. Gerard, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Shep. Thank you so much for having me. Greetings, viewers. Subscribe.
Thank you. Gerard, a lot of our viewers may want to know from you, how and when did you get involved in running businesses?
Well, I would say that I've been basically coming from an entrepreneurial family. My own mother and father took us to school by going to South Africa, bringing stuff and selling them. So you learn to be in business. We would pray when they have brought parts or when they've brought products. We pray that they are sold, and they get sold. We go to school, go to boarding school, 5 children. So for me, that I think showed the entrepreneur how to do it. With God, all things are possible. So that's my background. And from there, obviously, I went into university, degree in economics, and also then came to Europe, where we've managed to establish quite a number of companies involved in startups and directorships in going ventures. And so it's been a process of seeking knowledge by either going to retrain myself back into technology when we heard about technology, so moved into technology, being able to program, run IT business in terms of looking at IT innovation. And so just also a couple of years ago now completed a master's in innovation and strategic innovation management, looking at how to innovate business models. And so that's the new passion in my mid-40s going forward. How can we innovate in new business? So that's basically, without going into much details of which businesses, but that's basically what I've been up to.
Gerard, we may have some other entrepreneurs who may think of maybe partnering with you, or other clients who may want to get to know a bit more in terms of the companies that you are involved in. Would you be comfortable disclosing some of the companies that you are involved with currently?
Well, I'm involved, like I said, with a number. Some it's just a directorship, although sometimes it's also quite operational, looking at that. We're involved with companies that includes those that are seeking opportunities, say in Africa, to energy. I've got solar partners that are looking into energy projects. I've got construction partners that are looking for construction project, and that side of the business is under a company called Even Better Value Enterprises, which I am one of the initial founders, and we've gone into energy. We've also moved into into trade. So any tradable commodities and things like that. So, it's been wide. We are yet to strike. But like I say, in the last 5 or so years, technology has been a key part of what we do. And in Sarafu, which I'm the CEO, is a technology-based company. Some of my partners are world-renowned in the blockchain space. And we've been bringing out solutions, one of which was taken up by the UN to actually help in the disbursement of aid. And so that was a groundbreaking technology for one of my partners under a company called Aid Tech. And so we are looking at how we can use technology, blockchain technology in particular, for good, and in the process cut down costs for our partners or enterprises, or basically tokenize some operations that are there, especially where you're looking at security issues, and you're also looking at issues to do with transparency and supply chains, which has become very topical in these COVID-19 days. You know, supply chains would need to be much more transparent and predictable, given what has happened globally, so that you are still able to keep promise or process with partners and clients to be certain of either deliveries or certain of either being able to fit into any planning processes in a business. So technology can solve all that. And so in terms of partnerships, of what we'd be looking in that aspect is what is the requirements, and how can, from a Sarafu point of view, can we improve that system, making it more predictable and transparent? Because, you know, the uncertainty that comes out of disturbances like COVID-19, or out of situations where there's a lot of, say, fake products out there, you're trying to show and keep your brand brand goodwill, as it were. You have to show some form of predictability, transparency, and traceability in your supply chain. So those are the kind of people that we are kind of looking to work with.
Thank you very much, Gerard. To our viewers across the globe, we are just going to go for a very short break. When you come back, Gerard is going to talk to us in terms of what is it that they look at when they are making investment decisions. So please stay tuned, and we're going to come back very soon. Our viewers across the globe, welcome back to the second segment of our session, where we're talking to Gerard. Gerard is an entrepreneur involved with a number of different companies. He's here talking to us in terms of how he started his entrepreneurship journey. Gerard, welcome back.
Thank you.
Gerard, a lot of viewers who may be watching may also want to learn from you in terms of how do you arrive at investment decisions. Would you briefly maybe share with them how you arrive at an investment decision?
Well, obviously, like all venture capital people and investors, the key part is the passion of the team, or the entrepreneur, as it were, where you're looking at is this a team or a company that will deliver, and is it a team that will are result driven, most importantly? Because some people, as soon as they get some kind of investment, fall away and never then follow even their own business plan. It's pointless having a business plan and not implementing it. You know, it's one thing having a plan, it's really the other implementing it. So what we would really look at is there an implementation plan, and do they have either the team or if it's the resources that they need, what does it take to implement the plan? So for us, and some of the partners we work with, that becomes more important, because then it's at least you are saying, should things not come out as planned, at least there was an effort to go for it, to implement, and there was the passion to try and get the business, the process, or whatever it may be, off the ground. So I think that's what we'd really look at. It's people. Business is people at the end of the day. What network or what knowledge or what drives the entrepreneur? And that becomes the key even in seeking partners and seeking agreements to go forward.
Gerard, you have had the benefit of having stayed in Africa and now you are in Europe. As an entrepreneur, are there any particular opportunities that you would say people between these two places need to take advantage of?
I think, look, the whole world has become small. The opportunities are there, but Africa is unique in terms of having untapped resources, in terms of having so much potential. I mean, some of the things, depending on what you're looking at, some things are actually better done in Africa than they are even done here. When I talk of mobile phone technology, Africa is way ahead. We stopped having landlines in Africa a long time ago. In Europe, you still need to have your landlines. You still need to have all those kind of things. Whereas in Africa, just the penetration, say, of the mobile phone is way higher. So it depends what you are looking at. But what I can say is there are great opportunities having a view of both worlds, as I have. That you see that here access to capital generally is cheaper and more accessible in this part of the world, and definitely more expensive and stringent in Africa. But if the opportunities then are presented in a way that can actually give, say, a European based entrepreneur confidence in the things I mentioned earlier, team, drive, and planning of any opportunity, then I think there's plenty of, potential where, coming from the capital being raised here and the investment being raised for an African venture or process, or it could be just a small business that has much more higher return in Africa than it does here, because of competition, regulation here. They try by all means to limit monopoly situations. They, in their tendering processes and things like that. So the opportunity in Africa is huge to come in with an international standardized procedure or investment, but also be able to be fair priced, rather than, because I think in Africa, some things that, the pricing can be fivefold, whereas it could be so much cheaper and try and benefit other people. So we try and come in on a global based indexing model where you are saying, look, you don't have to double the price because it's in Africa.
My last question in this segment, Gerard, is going to focus on yourself as an entrepreneur and a business person. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? What are your investment plans?
Well, we see ourselves personally with no limit. There's no limit in God. So, you always plan to do what you did last year or the year before better than before. And so as the opportunities and networks arise, you are saying, I've been involved in trying to get tenders and things that are in the millions, hundreds of millions. It hasn't happened in most cases yet, but look, we make a pretty good effort of it. It's about that networking and monetizing, either monetizing contacts, because as a African diaspora person, you find that some of my friends that have stayed in Africa are now in high places, and so I know. So I look at myself and say I'm so privileged, because the amount of people I know. I've been in certain countries where we've had the opportunity of going to meet presidents just because of a contact I knew in school, knew in university, and we are able to come in with partners and business investors to do that. So where I see myself is, really desiring as a Christian for God to continue to open doors that no man can close.
Our viewers across the globe, please stay tuned. We are going for another short break. When we come back, we'll be running our final segment where Gerard is going to take us through in terms of investment opportunities. But not only that, we are also going to talk about what can one do when one is looking at things to do with seed capital as well as working capital.
Success for Tel 1 means success for businesses, government departments, and all our residential clients, bringing into play a digitally enabled society by 2023. Tel 1 offers superfast, affordable, and dedicated internet services across the country over fiber, copper, or satellite to meet the customer's needs, location, and budget. All of this can be secured with virtual private networks. Cloud services and the data center allow you, our customers, to store, manage, and disseminate all your data in a state-of-the-art private facility. Business Talk has become more affordable with our voice over internet protocol. VoIP allows you to make voice calls using any broadband internet connection and has massive potential savings as a cheaper mode of communication, making business processes more efficient and profitable. The use of unified business communication for our corporate clients offers a competitive advantage by managing multiple tools such as phone, video conferencing, email, customer service, and more. Stay connected all the time and bring your business up to speed with Tel 1. Tel 1, bringing you together.
Gerard, welcome back to the third and final segment of our show. I would want then our viewers to benefit from your experience and exposure. When we look at Africa as an economic destination, people tend to struggle with seed capital as well as working capital. From your own exposure, what can be done for African business people to access seed capital and working capital?
I suppose, like all over the world, the key part, start with your friends and family. If you can, and maybe one would say, oh, I don't have family that has that kind of money. The whole world is moving to a crowdfunding model in different ways. People are afraid to talk about their idea. If you believe so much in an idea, you must talk about it. And the more people you reach out and talk about, 1,000 here, 2,000 there, that's capital. So seed capital, and then one thing I've seen from the African side of things is people rarely put their businesses or their product on the internet, or even simply have a simple business plan. You've got to be able to say, this is what I want to do, and this is how I will do it. This is how much I need to make it happen, and this is how I foresee the returns. Business planning is as important as is one great aspect of raising capital. But then more importantly and increasingly, as I said before, people also look at how are you going to implement it? What you get, whatever capital, it could be for 1,000 When is it going to come back? What systems have you put in place? So I think, start with your family, go wider, go to banks or go to write the vision down. I think from a Christian point of view, if you have that vision down and put in place the clear picture of what it will look like at the end of it, then move back and start from brick one. It helps to actually then sell the picture and idea to others who can then put in something towards it. May not be all you need, but just that, and mentioning we have already raised 200 or 100. That's the process. And that 100 or 200, this is what we are using it for. These will be the results. But to complete, so having that full plan, I've had the opportunity of being involved in looking for funding for startups, and you find that is the standard process out here, which is not yet caught on in Africa as much. It can be for any kind of business. You have to be showing how and what you want to use the capital for.
Gerard, I'm very grateful for what you have given us so far. My last question would want to tap from your exposure. You have been to Africa and now you are in Europe. Without focusing on the issues to do with capital, a lot of African businesses have suffered from certain malpractices in terms of business. Would you care to share with us and identify a few business malpractices that you think if people work on, they can take their business from one level to the next?
Integrity. If I can give one word, integrity. You must be somebody who does what they say they will do and who is true to their word. That goes down to the people that either work with you, work for you. You must be of integrity. I've had the opportunity of sometimes signing NDAs, non-disclosure agreement with African companies, big ones for that matter. You are signing in the hope that you're dealing with professional people. Sometimes you end up finding that they never sign it back and they steal your idea and continue. But then you then find down the line, because it's an idea that was not with the same passion, they have stolen it or taken it and they end up not going the route you had clearly seen. So integrity for me in the African context, and this whole issue of, we in this part of the world, increasingly so, they are moving away from rather what I can say is they've set systems in place where you do not have a bribing culture or a culture that seeks bribes and all these things. And so I've seen you have such a great opportunity that will benefit people, that will benefit the company, but somewhere along the way, someone wants just to have a bribe or be bribed to move a certain process of paper or whatever to the next level. That culture is very African, sadly. I mean, I've done business or been involved in projects in West, East, Southern, and some Northern Africa, in Egypt as well. You find it's an African thing. What is in it for me? People, a middleman will cause a multi-million-dollar deal to fall apart because they've not got a smaller share. So increasingly now you find people want to deal with the decision makers at the end of it. And that's why, our involvement in blockchain technology is trying to bring that transparency. So you take out the uncertainties in the middle. So I think integrity is a key part of anything. For us, like one of my own leaders once said, Dr. Frank Chikane, that sometimes your name is more important than what you are involved in. And because our name represents Christ from a business point of view and a Christian point of view, I would not want to be involved in anything or to deal with anything that not only brings my name in disrepute, but the one whom I work for, most importantly, over and above any deal or any business you're involved in. Let Jesus be glorified, because why are we trying to make more money anyway? We are wanting to be able to be effective kingdom people and help those that need help. And so because of that, we align our lives and dealings in a way that is impeccable from a business and integrity point of view. So I think integrity is a very important part amongst other things.
Mm-hmm. Gerard, thanks very much for the time that we have had with you. I have also personally benefited from the exchanges that we have had. I know a number of entrepreneurs and business people will definitely benefit after watching this show. I look forward to have you again, where you can also share with us some of the things that you have learned along the way during your entrepreneurship journey. Once again, thanks very much for the opportunity to talk to us.
Thank you very much, Abad, and to all the viewers, thank you for watching. Tell others to subscribe to this channel. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Tell One, bringing you together.